For the past 3 years, many have described Europe's relationship with Russian energy as the loudest, messiest divorce in modern history. One side, Europe, stood on the balcony shouting threats, announcing ultimatums, slamming doors with great theatrical flair. The other side, Russia, stayed mostly silent, yet kept sending gifts on schedule. Western leaders promised a clean break. Western media drew glorious pictures of Moscow collapsing under the weight of Europe's embargoes. Officials in Brussels declared that by shutting off Russian gas pipelines, they were delivering a fatal blow to the Kremlin's economy. But now, as the political noise fades and the harsh numbers of 2025 come into full view, a chilling truth emerges. Russia was never pushed out of Europe's energy landscape. In fact, its energy is flowing into the continent more quietly, more flexibly, and in some cases, more profitably than before. Imports are not just continuing, they're growing. So what exactly is happening behind the velvet curtain of Europe's sanctions? Is this the failure of political will, or the ultimate proof of Russia's irreplaceable position in the global energy system? Let's peel back the layers of Europe's grand energy illusion and expose the reality hiding beneath the slogans. Ever since early 2022, Brussels has staged one political performance after another. We heard speeches about Repower EU, about ending addiction to Russian gas, about crippling Moscow's war machine. We saw Sanctions package number 18, then number 19, passed with triumphant applause in the European Parliament. Political leaders raised their voices. Media outlets amplified the chorus. Analysts predicted Russia's imminent economic collapse. The audience believed it. The world believed it. But when the curtains of this political theater finally closed and the accountants walked onto the stage, the story changed completely. The numbers were merciless. According to Eurostat data, Europe paid Russia 10.6 billion euros for energy in the first 9 months of 2025 alone, a 1.6% increase compared to the previous year. A continent loudly announcing a breakup, yet quietly wiring billions to its ex-partner. It's not just ironic, it's embarrassing. Russia remains among the top 3 energy suppliers to the EU, holding over 16% market share. The sanctions narrative shattered. Reality hit like a slap across the face. The answer to this contradiction lies in a modern-day Achilles heel: energy security. Politicians in Brussels can live on speeches, but factories in Germany cannot. Chemical plants in the Netherlands cannot. Steel mills in Italy cannot. Homes in Hungary, Austria, Slovakia cannot. Europe needs natural gas, not symbolically, not politically, but physically to keep its industrial backbone alive. Russian gas is not just a heating source. For Europe's manufacturing giants, it is the backbone of the chemical industry. Fertilizers, metals, automobiles, plastics, everything. Cutting Russian gas overnight would be like pointing a loaded gun at the head of Europe's own economy. Sanctions can work against luxury goods, but energy is not luxury. It is survival. Europe's attempt to quit Russian energy exposed the limits of its own political illusions. Russian pipeline gas was cheap, Russian supply was stable, Russian deliveries were long-term. Replacing it meant higher costs, higher risks, and lower competitiveness. So Europe turned to the only available alternative, American and Qatari LNG. But substituting pipeline gas with liquefied natural gas is like replacing tap water with bottled water flown in by private jet. The cost? Explosive. The impact? Devastating. Thus, the 10.6 billion euro payment to Russia is not a mystery. It is the price Europe pays to keep factories running and avoid social unrest. Geopolitics bowed to economics, as it always does. Look at Europe's old arteries, the massive pipelines like Nord Stream, Yamal, and Brotherhood. Some are damaged, some are idle, some function at minimal capacity. European politicians point to these silent pipelines as trophies. See, we cut off Russia. But if you turn your gaze from land to sea, an entirely different story unfolds. Across the coastlines of Spain, France, Belgium, and the Netherlands, giant LNG tankers arrive day and night, and many of those tankers, still flying Russian flags, still carrying Russian gas, still pumping billions into the Kremlin's energy revenues. Because Russia executed one of the most effective strategic pivots in modern energy history, from pipelines to LNG. and Europe became its biggest customer. EU states now buy over half of all Russian LNG exports, quietly, discreetly, efficiently. While Brussels debates embargoes, energy companies sign contracts. While politicians lecture, markets transact. And here's the hilarious twist. The countries shouting loudest about punishing Russia, France, Belgium, the Netherlands, are among the top importers of Russian LNG. Meanwhile, they criticize Hungary and Slovakia for using Russian pipeline gas, even though those landlocked countries have no ports to receive LNG. Europe's morals are flexible. Its hypocrisy is not. Russia did not lose Europe. It simply changed its delivery method and raised the price. The true geopolitical shock isn't that Russia still sells gas to Europe. It's who replaced Russia as Europe's top supplier. The United States. American LNG now holds nearly 30% of the European gas market, more than Russia ever controlled through Nord Stream. And this didn't happen by accident. Consider the history. Before 2022, the US fiercely opposed Nord Stream 2. They said it was a security threat. Was it? Perhaps, but it was also a commercial threat to America's own LNG business. US shale gas is abundant, but expensive to liquefy and transport. To sell it at scale, Washington needed to eliminate the competition, Russia's cheap pipeline gas. And the Ukraine conflict, intentionally or not, became the opportunity of a lifetime. Russia was sanctioned, pipelines were halted or destroyed, Europe panicked, and American LNG ships filled the vacuum instantly. Every president, from Trump to Biden, follows one principle: America first. Washington weaponized sanctions to weaken Russia, and simultaneously weaponized the crisis to dominate Europe's energy market. Europe, in trying to free itself from dependence on Russia, sprinted into the arms of a supplier whose prices fluctuate with politics and elections. Russia is predictable. America is not. And when your energy comes from someone unpredictable, so does your future. Europe believes it has freed itself, but it has merely traded one dependency for another. Before 2022, dependence on Russia, a geopolitical rival, but a stable energy partner. After 2022, dependence on the US, an ally, but one that uses energy as leverage in trade, diplomacy, and military negotiations. Imagine Donald Trump, or any future US president, deciding to pressure Europe by adjusting LNG exports. What would Brussels do? Nothing, because it burned every bridge to Russian energy infrastructure. This is not liberation, it is entrapment. Europe pays higher prices, lower competitiveness, increased inflation, deindustrialization, loss of autonomy. Meanwhile, Russia thrives on high LNG prices. The US profits massively, Europe suffers. This is not energy transition. This is geopolitical miscalculation, a self-inflicted wound wrapped in moral language. So here we are. Europe thought it was punishing Russia. Instead, it punished its own industry, its own workers, its own future. Russia was not defeated. America was not acting out of charity, and Europe's dream of energy independence turned out to be nothing more than an expensive illusion. In the end, the divorce between Europe and Russia was never real. It was theater, scripted, rehearsed, and loudly performed. Behind the curtain, the money still flows, the gas still flows, and the dependence remains. But the question now, the question Europe must eventually answer, is this: how many times can a continent switch masters before it finally decides to stand on its own feet? And more importantly, if this energy crisis was only Act 1, what will Act 2 look like? The stage is set, the players are in motion, and the next chapter may be even more unpredictable than the last.